High above a cheerful little village called Sunnybrook, there stood a tall green mountain. The mountain had winding paths, tall pine trees, and a cozy cave near the very top. And inside that cave lived a dragon. But not the kind of dragon you might be thinking of. This dragon didn't roar loudly at night or guard piles of gold. He didn't scare villagers or breathe giant flames across the sky. In fact, Max the dragon had a very unusual problem. He kept forgetting how to breathe fire. Every dragon in the world is supposed to breathe fire. Big dragons breathe huge flames. Little dragons breathe small flames. But Max? Well, Max blew bubbles. Every morning, Max woke up in his cave and stretched his big wings. Today is the day, he would say to himself proudly. Today I will remember how to breathe fire like a real dragon. Max would stand on the edge of the mountain, take a very deep breath, puff out his chest, and say, "Ready, steady, fire." But instead of flames shooting into the sky, pop, a tiny bubble floated out of his mouth. Max blinked. "Oh dear," he sighed. He tried again. He took a deeper breath this time. Fire, pop, pop. 2 shiny bubbles floated gently into the air. Max flopped down onto a rock and groaned. "I'm a dragon who can't breathe fire," he mumbled sadly. "What kind of dragon am I?" But down in the village of Sunnybrook, something wonderful was happening. Whenever Max tried to breathe fire, his colorful bubbles drifted down from the mountain. The village children loved them. "Look, look," shouted a girl named Mia one morning. Max's bubbles floated through the air like tiny balloons. Some were pink, some were blue, and some shimmered with rainbow colors when the sunlight touched them. The children ran across the village square laughing and popping them. Pop, pop, pop. Even the grown-ups stopped their work to smile. But Max didn't know any of that. Up in his cave, he was still trying to learn how to breathe fire. One day, he tried roaring first. "Maybe dragons have to roar before the fire comes out," Max said. He stood tall, spread his wings wide, and shouted his loudest dragon roar. "Roar!" Then he took a deep breath. Fire instead of flames. A giant golden bubble floated out and slowly drifted into the sky. Max covered his face with his wings. "This is terrible," he groaned. "I'm the most forgetful dragon in the world." Days went by and Max kept practicing. Sometimes he blew purple bubbles, sometimes green bubbles. Once he even made a bubble shaped like a heart, but no fire ever came. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. Dark clouds rolled over Sunnybrook. The wind began to whistle through the trees. Soon thunder rumbled across the mountains and rain began to fall. Suddenly, crack! A huge old tree in the forest fell across the road leading to the village. The villagers gathered around the fallen tree. "Oh no!" said the baker. "That tree is far too big for us to move," said the farmer. "And it's blocking the only road into Sunnybrook," said the teacher. Just then, Mia looked up toward the mountain. "I know who can help," she said. "Max the dragon." The villagers nodded. So Mia and a few brave villagers climbed the winding path up the mountain. When they reached Max's cave, they found him sitting sadly, blowing bubbles at a rock. "Pop, pop, pop, pop. Hello, Max," Mia said kindly. Max looked up in surprise. "Oh, hello," he said shyly. "Sorry about the bubbles," Mia smiled. "We actually love your bubbles," she said. Max tilted his head. "You do?" "Yes," Mia said. "But we came because we need your help. A huge tree has fallen and blocked our road." Max stood up quickly. "Don't worry," he said bravely. "I'll burn it away with my dragon fire." The villagers stepped back as Max took a huge breath. His chest puffed up, his eyes squeezed shut. Fire! Out floated, the biggest bubble anyone had ever seen. It was enormous. It shimmered with rainbow colors and slowly floated down the mountain toward the fallen tree. Max sighed. "I forgot again," he said sadly. But Mia suddenly pointed excitedly. "Wait, look!" The giant bubble drifted toward the tree. The wind gently pushed it along until it hovered right above the heavy trunk. And then, pop, the bubble burst. A warm, sparkling breeze spread across the tree. The bark became slippery and light. "Push!" Mia shouted. The villagers pushed together with all their strength. And suddenly, the giant tree slid right off the road. Everyone cheered. "You did it, Max!" The villagers shouted. Max blinked in surprise. "I did? Yes," Mia laughed. "Your bubbles helped us move the tree." Max looked at the sky, where a few leftover bubbles were still floating in the breeze. For the first time in a long while, Max smiled. Maybe forgetting fire isn't such a bad thing, he said. From that day on, Max stopped worrying about breathing fire. Instead, he practiced making the most magical bubbles anyone had ever seen. Rainbow bubbles, glowing bubbles, bouncing bubbles as big as houses. Every evening, the children of Sunnybrook gathered in the fields to watch Max fill the sky with floating colors and sparkling lights. The village had never been happier. And Max, the forgetful dragon, finally understood something important. Sometimes the thing that makes you different is the very thing that makes you special. And Max didn't need fire to be an amazing dragon. All he needed was to be himself.